So you have a question on a product that you're using or something's not going right. The first thing you do to look for those answers is you type into the search box here. So I'm going to type in here, how do we ensure that the correct user gets the receipt emails? So I can see when I've typed in this that I get a variety of articles here. And you'll see down the left-hand side that we've got some options. We've got product guides, articles, cases, groups, and discussions. So product guides are basically manuals about the product. They're how to use the product. Articles are customers that have asked questions previously, and we've created an article to help other users with those questions. Cases, you don't see any personal details with a case number, obviously, but we do have details about the case and how it was resolved, etc. Groups, I'm going to show you groups in a minute. And discussions is our Ask the Community section. So,
sorry, Ruth, there's a question from Bhav Patel. It says, my support only has the top 3, not top 6.
From the homepage.
It's on the blue line.
Sorry? Sorry, which page? We're talking about the top 3. Did you mean the top 3 tiles? Okay, I'm not quite sure. You might have to type the homepage top 3 tiles. That means that you haven't logged in. So you need to actually log into the support portal to get all 6. No problem. Okay, let's continue the search again. I'm just going to copy in. Right, here we go. So you'll see that we have articles, discussions, product guides, etc. And this search that I've typed in, it's not very explanatory really, is it? I mean, it could relate to any product at all. It could relate to just a personal email problem. So if I put in front of here, if I add this to the search, make it more explanatory. When I submit tax return details via online filing, the receipt emails go to a different person, and search. There we go. We have articles down here. I'm actually going to do this whole search again, just putting in this, because this is the explanation of what you need. So here in first position, when I type in this part, I get the correct article, how to change the HMRC details. So you'll see there's the question and there's the answer. So that's come up in first position. So the relevancy of whatever you type into the search box up here directly relates to the articles that you find down here. But obviously we have all of our products listed down here, and we have different ways for you to search as well. So you should find the information that you're looking for if another customer has indeed asked for that at some point. So that's how we search in the support portal. The second way that we find information is by clicking into Ask the Community. So Ask the Community is a customer forum where you can ask questions about the product that you're using, and the type of answers that you get when you type your searches in here will be different than the ones that you get from our support agents. And often there'll be little bits of information that you probably wouldn't even get from us because people learn tips and tricks over time. So yeah, please feel free to come in to Ask the Community and ask another customer. If somebody knows, they will answer. We do monitor this forum, however, it's not a support channel. So you know, if we can help at some point, you know, usually after about 5 days, then we will put a link in there for you. But otherwise, it's completely up to other customers to answer for you. We also have groups in here where we provide information for you. The main group that we use is, when it comes up, is the Wolters Kluwer Tax and Accounting News Group. Now, this is obviously how we promoted, one of the ways we promoted this webinar. We put our product release information in there and all manner of things when we launch a new product, when there are updates. So it's essential that you join this group. So it's pretty easy to join. You just click into groups and you'll see next to it there's a join group, and you can also select how often you want to receive posts on that group. We recommend that you choose every post to start with. And then if that gets a bit much for you over time, then you can obviously change that. We also have other groups such as CCH Personal Tax, and a range of user groups which are different to our normal product groups. And same story again, just click join group, select how often you'd like the notifications, and our experts will actually post into those groups and you can reply to those posts as well. So if we go back to the home page, so we've looked at how to search for answers. If you can't find what you're looking for on the support portal, then you're of course welcome to log a support case. So to do that, you click on cases from the top menu, create case, and this is our case form. So we're going to select on-premise product support, and today we are working with personal tax. So I'm going to select personal tax from here. And level 3, I'm going to click core functionality, but obviously if you are doing any of these things, then you would click that. I'm going to again click core functionality. Now, the subject in here is brief, so we can just, I'm just going to put in here this, need to change HMRC receipt emails for online filing. Now you'll see on the right hand side, when I do that, I come up with a whole lot of articles that you can see whether any of them will answer your question. And at the moment, it doesn't appear that we do have the correct one. So in the description field, I would ask you when you fill this in to be as explanatory as you can, because this is what helps our support agents when they get the case, to help you faster, basically. So when I submit tax return details via online filing, the receipt emails go to a different person. That's pretty explanatory. So we have some new fields in this case form. The first one is reason for me to create this case. So I would urge you, if you are creating a case, to actually select one of these, and don't just leave it at general question about product or functionality. If you've got a warning or an error message, please let us know. The functionality is not working correctly. So one of your queries should fit into one of these categories. So system down, obviously, several functionalities not working, but the warning or error message and functionality not working correctly would be the two most common things that you would want to report. So I would urge you actually to click on one of those. It will help your case to be prioritised a little bit quicker. And can you continue to work? So you can either continue, it's limited, or it's impossible. So let's go limited. With the product version, not everybody knows their product version off by hand. So if you do know it, you can put it in there. And if you have a system internally that you want to tie this case to, then you would put your case reference in there. So what we're going to do at this point is click next, and you'll see that this page, which is step 2 of our case creation process, actually does have the article at the very top that we would be looking for. So under normal circumstances, I'd click on here and I would have my answer. But for the sake of today, we're going to go down to the bottom and create a case. Right, so you can see here that we have created the case, and it's got all the details that we put in. Now, if you forgot to tell our support agent something, then this is where you'd put it. Place a comment in here and add the comment, and our support team will add that comment onto your case. What I want to show you is if we go into cases now, you'll see this is the case that we just created. And if I close this case, I can mark it as resolved. So I've managed to sort the issue out myself and I don't need any help. I can mark that as resolved. And you'll see here that after I've marked it as resolved, I've got 48 hours to reopen the case. And to reopen the case, I would put a comment in this field here, click add comment, and within that 48 hours, your case will open. So I'm going to close that case for now. And you can see that it's now resolved. I could reopen that if I wanted to. And if I go to cases, you'll see that my case is back in there. So I am actually going to resolve that at the moment. It's already resolved in there, so never mind. Okay, so let's go back to the home page. And I don't know how many of you have tried this, but this is our virtual assistant. Uses AI from within our document repositories here. So you'll see that we've got 2 articles showing at the top of here that are Jan Tax ones for those of you who are personal tax customers. And I'm going to put my question in here. There's a really great way of finding the answers that you need, by the way. Right, so it's personal tax. I didn't give it enough information really, so I'm going to tell it what I need. Right, and you see that it's got a summary at the top here. You can read through that, and if it makes sense to you, then that's fine. But what we also have for you are some articles. So we have got the correct article in first position here. I can click on read more, read the whole answer, and hide it again. But for the purposes of today, we're going to say that no, it doesn't answer my question. And I can contact support through here. So this is the case form, the same as the one that we have just filled out. And I'm going to put personal tax again, core functionality again. I'm going to type that in there, and in this box here, it just tells you that your support case is going to include a full transcript of this, and I'll show you that very shortly. So again, your case reason, very important, and you need to select one of those. And we'll have limited work. I don't know the product version number, and I don't have an external reference. So at this point, I can actually attach my warning or error message, for example. So if you take a screenshot, just select file, upload it into there, and also you need to read the privacy policy as we just have, and click next. So here we have some links that might help you. And again, you can see that because I put such a good subject and description in to the case form, my articles come up in first position. But again, we're going to click continue to say that we haven't. So you'll see that we've got 3 support options here for you. The first one is create a case. So this is exactly the same as the case form that we filled out on the support portal. This is a call me back request, so basically telephone support. So when you log this one, you will give your phone number and one of our support agents will ring you as soon as they're able to. And we have chat with a live agent. So this isn't available all the time. because obviously it does get a little busy, and support, and also we need to make sure that we have somebody with the right skill set available to chat with you. So because we've chosen personal tax and the subject we have a live agent now that could help you with that. So we will create a call me back request. And I do need to put a phone number in here and submit. Right, here we go. So I know now what my case number is, and somebody is going to call me back. Now I can go back to the support portal from here, and now I'm going to click on cases, and I can see that I have just created a new case, and actually that's not the correct case. I think it's this one. What I want to show you on here, it's exactly the same as the other case that we created, but it carries with it the transcript. So it's got all the links that you were offered. It's got absolutely everything in there. And it works in exactly the same way that you can add your comments in here and click, and support will see those. So I'm actually going to mark these cases as resolved before somebody tries to help me, which no doubt they will very soon. It's as easy as that. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is look at these tiles in the support portal. Now, this first one, using the support portal, this is where the help documentation is contained to navigate your way through here. So first of all, we do have a short video up here. It's about 3 minutes long, and if you haven't been into the support portal before, I do recommend that you watch it. It's just an overview. And here we have the detailed documentation. So how to join the support portal, how to access customer support, frequently asked questions. So for example, how to access customer support. The search bar, we explain how search works. So not enough detailed information. And then when we improve the question, we get the correct article, etc. Using email via a support case, and then telephone or live chat, and ask the community. So they are the support options that are open to you, and that everything is documented in here with screenshots. So for example, if you're a Wolters Kluwer account administrator, you may be familiar with this document already. It's relatively long, but it does have a menu on the right hand side to help you navigate your way through it. So if you ever do need to log into self-service to invite a user, etc., then this is where you'd come to get your information. We go back to the support portal and back into here. And you'll see that we've got finding answers on the support portal as well. So how to use our virtual assistant, it's got full screenshots and things. So if you get lost in there, you can always check in here. How do I raise, check on or close a support case? That's just what I've shown you this morning, but it's just documented for you in case you need it. We also have a section on groups, how they work, how to interact. And here we have e-learning courses. So I'm going to actually click on that tile in the support portal in a little while, so I won't go into that right now. The second tile here is product updates and news currently. So this is the Wolters Kluwer Tax and Accounting UK news group that I was telling you about before, the essential to join. So you can see that this is where I promoted the webinar. We've also got some of my colleagues. We've got a release now live and available for download. And we also have our product team that come in here and ask for help in shaping products and things. So that could be something you might want to get involved with at some point. And in here is our product documentation. So when we did our search earlier in here, the product guides, these ones here, this is what's contained in product documentation. So there's a load of documents in there. Oh, let's wait for this to reload. So basically, if you were purchasing a product, then the product documentation is like a manual. It explains to you how to use that product, and that's all contained within that tile. There is a search area in here. If you go into product information, it is easier to do this via the search in the support portal, but if you get stuck, this is where you find a list of all our products. So we just click on personal tax in here again, and we've got get started, tax settings, etc. Lots of things for you to read and explore in there. And next we have user voice. Now, user voice, I haven't really talked to you about Wolters Kluwer account, but user voice is something that your Wolters Kluwer account administrator needs to invite you to access, along with our Wolters Kluwer Academy, which is e-learning, and I'll come to that shortly. So because I logged into the support portal, I should be signed in with my Wolters Kluwer account, and I am. Okay, so this area of the support portal is for if you ever want to recommend a product enhancement. So what you do is come in here, and you'll see down the left-hand side, you've got the products. So you can see that there are 14 ideas that have already been proposed for CCH personal tax. You can have a look at those ideas and see whether any of those ideas match the one that you have yourself. And you see some of them have got a decent amount of votes in there. And if you can't find the one you're looking for, then you can propose your idea in here. So you just enter it to search, and then describe your idea if it's not there. You can upload files and post it. And if it's popular, other users will come in and they'll vote for your idea. Our product team, these ideas go straight through to our product team, so you will hear back from someone. Doesn't necessarily mean that it can be picked up straight away, but you will hear back. So that's user voice. Next we have software releases. I'll just show you in here. If you click on there, you'll see that we've got the Central Suite installer and the non-Central Suite installer. All of our releases are stored on the Wolters Kluwer Academy, which is our e-learning. So we'll have a look in there now. This is going to be renamed, this tile. We only just relaunched our learning courses over the last week or so. It's going to be called Wolters Kluwer Academy shortly. So this is the page that you will come into. So we recommend that anyone using our software for the first time completes at least the essentials learning courses. So if we click here, this is again controlled by Wolters Kluwer account. So you need to have it added to your account to access. So I'm already logged in, so this should just bring me straight in here. So if I'm a new user, this is where I would click, get started. And you'll see that we have a short video there for you to watch. And we've also broken down our courses into 4 core areas. So if we go into taxation, we can see that we've got all the courses covered. So we're looking at personal tax today. I've just picked that for some reason. So you'll see that we've got the essentials for individuals. Now it's broken, it is 13 courses. And if you did the whole lot, it would be 3 hours, 50 minutes. But the 13 courses break down quite nicely into 15-minute, 20-minute sections. Some of them are even shorter than that. So let's go back, and we'll go back again. We actually want to, right, so if you're an existing user and you just want to get more product knowledge, this is where you would come. So you'll see here that we have the products ready for you to click into. And in this case, here's our CCH personal tax. And again, it takes you through to these courses. And the other thing I want to show you about this is that we now have a leaderboard in place. So if you want to get involved with this, oh, you can see I'm right up the top there, and I have no points. So basically, if you create a short course, then you'll get 10 points, and that will put you onto our leaderboard. We also have something called certification in here now, and it does qualify you for professional development hours, I believe. So you do get considerably more than the 10 points. I think for completing one of those courses, you get a badge, which you can promote on LinkedIn, and you also get 1,000 points. So that will put you nicely up on the leaderboard. So just a few things in here for you. There was one other thing that I wanted to mention. I can find it. Here we go. Software downloads. So I just had to scroll down a little bit. This is a completely new site, so forgive me. Okay, so you'll see Central Suite Installer and non. So this is where you would come when you're sent a link or told that you can download. You can also in here see your learning statistics. Right, well, mine's not terribly impressive, as you can see, but we do have, you can basically create a learning plan and put the courses in here, and I'm actually in progress for one of them, and I'm enrolled on another one. You can see your certification and your stats on this page. So that's all I'm going to show you with Wolters Kluwer Academy today, but please do, if you don't have it added to your Wolters Kluwer account, then ask your admin, and they will, I'm sure, be happy to add that for you. So I think that's the last thing that I'm going to show you in the support portal, but I do have one thing that is extra special that I wanted to share with you today. Now, you remember I clicked on a tile for product documentation. Well, we're creating a completely new home for our product documentation at the moment, because we do know that it's not as easy as it could be to locate what you're looking for. So this is just a mock-up of what we're looking at creating. So you can see that we've got helpful navigation down the left-hand side, and we're providing a customer journey, etc. And we're being very explanatory about what we provide for you. So we also have a product in here as well. I think I put one product in so you could have a look. So for example, taxation, we have all the different types of taxation that we offer, and then we break them down into getting started, digital learning, product guides and release notes. And then within that, we're getting started. We have things relevant to the product itself. So at this point, I wanted to ask anyone who's interested in helping us to make this a better site for you to visit. Kent is going to put a form into the chat now, and if you could please just fill out that form, and we'll contact you, because I'd love to work with you on making sure that this site is really easy for you to use, really understandable for new customers, etc. So really appreciate your help if you can spare just a little bit of time. I'd be doing it in probably half-hour or 1-hour sessions, so not too much commitment there.
Ruth, before
yeah?
I pass that on, I think Isla's got a question just on the chat.
Okay, let me have a look at the chat. For some reason, it is loading.
It's just to do with the functionality where you can set up your learning plan. We use this for all of our new users that come on board, and it would actually be really helpful if we could set up a learning plan before they start. One of the issues that we have right now is we have to get them set up, and that's fine, and tell them where they need to go to and do all of that. But actually, if we could just put it into a learning plan for them, that would be really helpful.
Right, okay. Let me take that back to our Walters Kluwer Academy specialists and
Super.
see whether that's possible before I tell you it is. You find it's not.
That's fine.
One of the things, obviously, that we are trying to do with the new part of the support portal that we're developing to replace the product documentation is make sure that that journey from start to, learning about the software, etc., is seamless. So yeah, I will look into that for you
Thank you.
and come back to you.
Super.
Okay, thanks, Isla. Okay, so what I want to do now, for anyone that is a CCH personal tax customer, I'm sure you'll be interested in staying on because we have Jeremy Wallace, who's our resident tax expert within Walters Kluwer UK, and we also have Stephen Leonard, who is one of our customers from JL Winder & Co, and they've been successfully navigating personal tax for some time now. So together they'd like to answer your questions and just share as much insight as they can so that January is a smoother process for you. So if you do need to drop off and you're not a CCH personal tax customer, then that's fine. Please feel free. But otherwise, do stay on. And I'm handing over to Jeremy and Stephen now. Would you like to share your screen, Jeremy?
Absolutely. Sure. Okay, that's the... Yeah, hopefully you can see my screen. This particular session is going to run a lot smoother if people ask questions. The more questions, the better. You don't want me sitting here and just showing you articles that already exist. But we, many years ago, created a moniker called Jantax, which is all about showing you the most popular articles for personal tax in particular. So although I've not logged into the support portal, you can actually access certain parts of it without logging in, which is what I've done. And you can see here that I'm just going to search for Jantax, and it will give me a list of the most popular queries that we've had on personal tax. And there are probably 50 of them. I won't go through a few of them, but I would really appreciate it if people ask some questions, because it's a lot easier if people ask questions. I'll go through a few of the ones that we do have on a regular basis. So I'm sure those of you who use personal tax will have come across things like a synchronization error. So this is where the data in the database doesn't agree to what's in the online filing screen. Generally speaking, really simple to get around. I'll just share my version of CCH Central. So whenever you get a synchronization error, you can see here that we've got our tax return data. And the way to sort out a synchronization error is go into whatever the first source of income on that list is, and just click Save and Next, Save and Next, Save and Next, and go all the way through. Once you've saved all of the data, it should then bring you back to a position where the data is synchronized and online filing will continue. If it doesn't, there is also the option of exporting a client file. So file, open, import, export, personal tax, export and follow this wizard, and then import the client file back in. Generally speaking, that will work as well. Moving on to the next one, licenses. Licenses are a big one in January. People are forever managing to lock their licenses down. So whenever you've got a message that says you have 5 personal tax licenses, all of which are in use, you'll see that if you go into File, Help, About, which also incidentally shows you your product version, which is really useful for us on support, and then come into Product License Information and expand, in this case, personal tax, you'll see that it tells me that I have one user currently using one of my 20 licenses for personal tax. If I click on the user there, it tells me that it's me. So if that said 3 and I was the only person in there, it would suggest that CCH Central has probably crashed at some point. and your Windows is holding on to the process called Client Framework, which is the product or CCH Central. It's actually called Client Framework. Go into Task Manager and kill it. Once you've killed it, that license count will refresh and you'll get back to having your licenses back. I'm keeping an eye on the chat, and there's no questions coming in at all. So moving on, one of my personal favorites, if I'm honest, Cal1, Cal2 errors. Generally speaking, user errors. There's a list of things that can be in here, but generally speaking, when you have a Cal1 or Cal2 error, HMRC will say the calculation doesn't agree. The difference is, and we'll give you a figure. That figure is usually quite easy to identify exactly what the problem is. So if you've got a difference of £100, perhaps you've got £500 at 20% tax. And you might find that in the computation and just go through. And as I said, most of the time it is user error. Unfortunately, it says people are entering data incorrectly. If you need to, I'm gonna champion myself here and say I've never failed to identify a Cal1, Cal2 error to date. If you want to challenge me on that, then that's absolutely fine. I'm happy for you to do so. Okay. So questions. How can the information from HMRC? I'm going to have to use a different version of CCH Central for that because I need my own version rather than my customer version. Bear with me. You'll have come across something called CCH One-Click. So there are two versions of the digital tax account, which is provided by HMRC. And if you have CCH One-Click, you'll see, oh, there is a digital tax account on that one. So this button here will change depending on whether you have One-Click or not. So if you do have One-Click, it just says it says DTA. If you don't have One-Click, it will say view DTA, and that will just give you the information that is available from HMRC. We have absolutely no control over what is there or when it's there. Don't think it's going to work for this one because it's probably not got to be valid credentials in there. I can give it a go. Oh, it does appear to work. It'll probably tell me that I'm not authorized. Yeah, so in this particular case, I've not got credentials in, but so I've accessed CCH One-Click via the DTA option. Whenever there is information from HMRC and the authorization process is in place, you will have lists of things from HMRC in here. I didn't think that one would work from there, if I'm honest, but so if you want to drag information in from HMRC, the digital tax account, you must have One-Click. There must be a service running called the CCH Central service, and then you have the option to tick boxes to say include this in a return. I will say for employments, for example, personally don't like it because HMRC put everything in capitals, which if you don't use capitals everywhere, it doesn't look good on the schedule. But entirely up to you. You can copy and paste figures from it as well. Increased support in January. Yes, absolutely. However, we're talking about the last week in January. When is the end of January? So it's a Saturday. So we will be doing extended support probably from Monday the 26th for an hour after normal hours throughout that week, and then all day on Saturday the 31st. The best way to contact us is via the support portal, obviously, and use the chatbot, use the facilities that Ruth has already shown you. You might well find the responses that you need without that. Sometimes it is tricky, yes, to get things back quickly from support. We do work on a priority basis, so if there are sites down, etc., those take priority over everything. If we've got an entire site down, we're talking about the entire place not working. Other than that, you can specify, yes, this is critical. That pushes it up the list of when it gets accessed by a support person. We all do specialize in certain subjects. Some are more generous than others, but quite a lot of the time, you will find that it is, if you log a personal tax case, you will get through to somebody who actually deals with personal tax. We do try and turn around things as quickly as possible. Either I'm aware that you've got some cases that have probably been going on for a while, but that kind of is what it is sometimes, unfortunately. So CSV files into personal tax, not really. So there is a question: is there a way to import CCH tax returns via CSV file? No. However, you can import certain bits of data. So a CSV file can import a contact, but that won't include any tax data. There is a CSV file for like the FTSE feed and for CO2 emissions for vehicles, etc. You can also use spreadsheets that are linked for updating partnership statements, which might be useful, but importing actual data via CSV file, no, it needs to be a TSS file or you can import XML files as well. Easiest way to email group of personal tax clients to chase for their tax information. Okay, so we have something called information request. If I do a search for my client, in here we have an option for mail merge. This is central mail merge, and it's used for all sorts of things. You can use in a letter, you can email it, you can publish it to one click. Let's pretend that I've selected a lot of clients. I haven't in this case, but it's the same principle. When you go to next, you will have a list of your default templates. If I come down to an information request one here, select query information request, it'll ask me what year I want to send it for. For this particular purpose, I want to send it for 2025. So if I next, you can use the filters, etc. if you want to, and you'll see here, if I then tick this particular one and finish it, I've got a Word document. Now again, you can do it via email, you can do it via one click if you use that, but that then creates a Word document with everything based on the previous year's return, and you can send it off to your client. I've not chosen a particularly good one because I've only got a trade in that particular client. Okay, so will there be any change in HMRC for CCH tax? Not quite sure what you mean by that one, unfortunately. Are we talking about MTD for income tax? If so, not within this software, no. So MTD for income tax is going to be dealt with within CCH iFirm, which is our cloud product. So when you find a different version of Central, quickly show you iFirm, I believe, in this one. So rather than creating a tax return within an SA 100 in CCH Central, you can select that you want to use. Computer's going too slowly. You can select MTD for income tax for 2026 onwards. However, I'm going to come back to 2026 because that's potentially an issue. If I don't think if I've got iFirm on that one, I might not have actually. So yes, iFirm for MTD going forwards. That's something that you should contact your HMR, your account manager about if you're interested. Can we import data to be taken for a suggestion for future? I have circa 5,000 clients. So the ability to enter, are we talking about the ability to enter contact data? Because yes, you can do that. There is an option to import contacts. The tax side of things, because it all has to be mapped to tax fields, it's difficult to do that as a client with all the tax data. It needs all of the mapping done, so that's a bit more difficult. But contacts, absolutely, you can import contacts. There is an option to import contacts here, and that could be. I wouldn't necessarily suggest doing 5,000 in one go, unless you've got a dedicated PC for it, because it will take a while. But it'll bring in all of the basic data for all of those 5,000 clients. Income data. No, not unless you've got that in the right format. So again, a TSS file or an XML file is the only way you can import tax data. Because of the way that SQL tables are written, that's a difficult thing to do, Sam. Jason, so capital gains tax. Oh, we're getting lots of questions coming in now. So capital gains tax, yes. So the capital gains tax and the change of rates during the year, that was an interesting one. So as you all know, HMRC changed the rates of capital gains tax halfway through the year. That was an absolute nightmare from a programming point of view. Back in February, March time, we were trying desperately to rewrite the software to have it calculate the correct rates of tax. However, HMRC have subsequently turned around and stated that they are not going to change their calculation for 24-25. Therefore, we couldn't change ours, and any differences should be put in as adjustments in capital gains tax. If I go to this client, depending on the version that you've got, so you must have version 2025.2 or later. So in this case, I've got, I believe, 2025.310, which is the current live version. But if I go into capital gains tax and I enter some rubbish in there, doesn't really matter. If I put 010125 and 50,000, you'll see in here that it uses the old rates. However, it puts an adjustment in there. That should be the difference in the tax liability. That is exactly what HMRC have requested that we do, because their system is not being changed. So that should be working out at 24%. Look at the calculation, work it out. But that's how you should be using it. But make sure you're up to date. It is important to make sure you are as up to date as you possibly can be.
Can I just interrupt for a second?
Yes.
We've got about 6 minutes left in this session, technically.
Yeah.
Are you okay to stay on, Jeremy? Or
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and Stephen, is it okay with
Yeah.
you?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not a problem.
And so if anybody wants to stay for a little bit longer, then that's fine. We can do that.
Sure. Okay. I'm just going to go through the questions that I've got. So tax return bundle and using the old template. Okay. So to select a template or create a template, again, you go via clients and you click on mail email merge and click next. And you'll probably somewhere in here have your bundle. I don't know if I've set up a bundle, if I'm honest, in here. But once you've created your template, just save it. Then within File, Maintenance, Tax Settings, Personal Tax, Tax Return Bundle, and Bundle Details, you'll see I have a tab here called Contents, and I do have a bundle template. So this is where my bundle template is. To change it, delete the one that's there, get rid of it, and now browse to where the new one is. I don't know if where I put it, if I'm honest. I'm probably gonna have to go and find it, but you just browse to your latest template, click open, and then OK, and that will save your new template. It's more income data dividends and sorry, that's gone back to Simon's. When exporting, importing to resolve a sinker, is it just the return with the issue or the entire record? It's just that it should just be that return. In theory, when you've got a sync error, they save and next, save and next, save and next all the way through. It's about saving all the data. So once you've saved all the data, it's then updated the database in the background that will then agree to online filing. But yes, you can specify that you want to. I'm just going to cancel that. That you want to just export one particular year. So when you go through the export function, you'll see here, you can select all years, 1 year, whatever is appropriate for you. And it will just do the return that you're talking about in that year. Sometimes you need to delete the return. I wouldn't suggest that as a starting point. That's an absolute last resort, deleting the return. Especially where you have workflows, because you will lose the workflow if you do that. However, it'll keep everything else. MTD not possible via absolutely, not possible in CCH Central. There is something called iFirm. So CCH iFirm is where our MTD product is going to be going forwards. You would select it in exactly the same way as you would a tax return when you roll forward to 2026, which I wouldn't do. Oh, I like that last one. That's one of my pet likes that one. So 2026. I'm gonna just cover 2026 because there are some major changes to the return in 2026. Absolutely. If you can avoid it, do not roll forward to 2026 until you have the 2026 software installed, especially where you've got finished holiday lets, because they no longer exist. But then if you roll forward now, it would roll forward as a furnished holiday let. There are other big changes. Obviously, we've got the budget coming up as well. So there might be more changes in that. So absolutely, if you can avoid it, do not roll forward to 2026 until after you've installed the 2026 software. As it happens, so payments on account, as it happens, I set up a client here. I'm just going to get rid of this capital gain just to show you. So in this particular case, I created a sole trader with £80,000 of profit. So his payments on account are £9,716. If I go to 2025, his profits are lower. And you'll see that here, even if he paid these, that's not strictly speaking the correct way to show this. So there are some hard and fast rules that I happen to have written specifically for this. So where you have a reduction in liability, I'm going to go back to that. That's the wrong one. you know what the liability is for the current year. It's £15,432. Now, payments on account can never exceed the liability. So if that's 15,432, each payment on account, when you submit the return, becomes 7716. So I'm going to override this and 7716. The two payments on account must be within a penny of each other, and you can never overpay a payment on account, because any excess payments will go against the next liability and the next liability, etc. So in this case, we've paid the two payments on account, but actually he paid two lots of 9716. That's 7716. Meant he overpaid by £2,000 on each one. Of course he did. It's right there. And the excess is going in as a payment on a payment against the balancing payment. You'll see on the calculation now, it will now use, I told it I need to tell it to use it against the first payment on account. This rule works for every single payment on account query. And if you follow it, you will never have any problems with it. Just follow my 4 rules here. Again, you can search Jantax, you'll find it in there. But just follow these 4 rules and everything will work out as far as payments on account are concerned. Would I suggest deleting any 2026 returns already rolled forward? Kind of. It depends. It depends what's on there. To be fair, you know as well as we do what was in last year's budget. You'll know as well as we do what's in this year's budget when it arrives. So generally speaking, yes, it's good for tax planning, but actually, as far as the software goes, it's not a good idea. Most years there are very few changes and it doesn't make a lot of difference. For 2026, there are big changes coming. So I would absolutely recommend that you delete them if you can. If that's not realistic, fine. Be very careful what you do.
Okay. Oh, there's another question.
Yeah. Another. So we need to prepare. Someone's preparing returns for date of death. That's fine. You at the moment you wouldn't be able to submit them online anyway. So online filing for any given year doesn't actually isn't available from HMRC until the 6th of April. So if you're doing any date of death and you need to file them, it's they are postal returns anyway. So that's fine. The only things you need to take account of at the moment, probably furnished holiday lets is the biggest one. So if you've got any furnished holiday lets, do not roll those forward, because they will roll forward as things stand at the moment. Then getting rid of them out of the return later on, that's a bit more difficult. So I would just use a bit of common sense. When you need to, you need to.
One last question there, don't we?
Yeah, just bear with me a sec. Okay, disclosure notes. We sometimes see question marks appear. Okay, as far as right, yeah, copy and pasting. So you'll find that in C8 Central, some of the boxes that you see are just text boxes, and in theory they should copy okay. Other boxes might look like text boxes, but they're not. And because they're not, you'll find that when you copy and paste things, there might well be other characters that could come in. Online filing credentials is a really good one. If I show you where you can enter credentials, so personal taxes here, this looks like it's a text box, but it's not. It's a Janus grid. And if you paste things into there from, say, a spreadsheet, you've got a spreadsheet with all your credentials. If you paste it into there, you will find quite often that there are spaces that you can't see. So copy and pasting is all very well, but be very careful what you copy and paste from where to where. And you can also edit notes if you need to. And I think we've covered them all there.
So what I want to do though is just invite Stephen to just perhaps tell us what the top tips and tricks are that JL Winder has used to navigate January successfully.
Hopefully everybody can hear me. I guess it's expanding on what's already been said. I mean, one of the key things for me is making sure that all your users actually know how to find the answers. So some of the things that Ruth mentioned at the start, knowing how to use the support portal, how to log a case, and firstly, do they have access to it? Because what sometimes happens is if you've taken on new staff earlier on in the year, you might not set them up, and suddenly they're dealing with things in the January rush, so to speak, and they're going, I don't know how to do it. Because in the old days, when there was a telephone line, they'd just get a number and ring it, and it didn't really matter about all the credentials, the account, how to use it. You just phoned up, spoke to somebody after pressing a few buttons. But as we've gone away from that, the login a call, login a case becomes the default method. So making sure that everybody can do it, telling them that they should do it as well, because I mean, we've got a sort of open plan office. We're quite small, in 15 people, and sometimes I'm sat there listening to people go, this doesn't work, this can't work, and you sort of thinking, right, well, is it just a simple thing that can be fixed, or does it need to be reported? And quite often what they'll do is they'll click on the error message and say, okay, move on, and never report it, hoping that either it'll go away or somebody else will do it. So I think making sure that people know how to use it, knowing they should use it, because those interactive things, the AI bit, the chatbot, once you start using them, they're actually quite useful if you ask, like anything, if you ask the right questions. So sometimes when I've gone on to report a case, I've put the details in, and those things come up on the side, and you click on the link and find actually the answer is there. And it saves you having to log a call, wait for an email back, wait for a phone call back. But I think sometimes people are just so busy wanting to finish the task they're doing, which is usually a tax return or submission or something like that, that they're not interested in all of that, but actually could save them a lot of time. So encouraging people to go through that process, knowing how to do it, and making sure they're all set up. The other thing that crops up when people have reported is quite often they'll get an email back with either a knowledge-based article link from the support team or something else saying, just do this, this, and this. And then you've got to make sure that people understand what they can and can't do, because some of those things are easy. They could just go click a button, it's this, the modern, some of those sort of input type ones, should we say. Others require some of the things that Jeremy showed, where you go into file maintenance. Not everybody has access to that, depending on your security permissions. So making sure that the users know who your administrator is, or administrators who can actually do some of those things that might need doing at that top level. Because again, the frustration is they get an email back and they try and click on a button and it doesn't work. And it's like, what do I do now? Again, because we're a small firm, I can sort of pick up on that and people know. But again, if you've got new starters this year and this is their first year in personal tax and dealing with a January rush, they might not know. And then other people who do know might have forgotten. So it's all around that process of making sure everybody knows what they can do, when they can do it, how they can do it. The other bits which sort of like the training videos or the how-to articles and things like that, that's useful. Obviously, we're getting into the busier period, so whether people have got time to pick that up, but they are useful because they do highlight some of the more simple things. Because often I hear people saying, oh, it doesn't do this. And then when you actually look at it, it doesn't do it because it's not meant to do it, which is it's a technical tax issue rather than the product won't do something. So it's making sure that all those resources are utilised, knowing the processes for it. As some of the guys at Wolters Kluwer will know, it can be very frustrating when you put details into your case and it feels as though the answer that comes back doesn't make sense. But again, part of that is to do with when you do log a case, putting them as much detail as you can in helps, because the people at the other end are looking at it going, right, what does this mean? What is it? So if you have got error messages, do take a copy of them, put them in, try and put more detail in. If you just say, I can't file a tax return, my sympathy goes to the support team a little bit, because they've got no idea what you're doing, what the context was, how you were trying to do it, what type of return it is. So the more detail you put in, the better your answers you're going to get, either with the AI side of it or the chatbot, or when somebody actually comes back to you. And I found that despite some of my cynicism a couple of years ago when some of this came in, it does work, it does help. And sort of explain to your staff that it's not just a case of banging in something very quickly or ignoring it. There is a process here, and the more you put into it, the easier the answers will. Because, you know, the volume of traffic that we're going to be having in January is huge, and therefore we will have issues that will need to go to support. And quite often, a lot of them can be solved quickly, but if there's a load of volume going in, you're going to be waiting. So just analyze all of the options available to you, which is what we've been doing for several years, and it does help. The other part, which is sort of not to do with Wolters Kluwer really, is making sure that if you have either internal or external IT support, that they know how to do some of this, because sometimes it's not a how do I do a tax return, it's there's an issue going on behind the scenes, and making sure that your external people can contact Wolters Kluwer, because there is on one of the screens that Ruth showed on the administrator is how do you get external support to have a login with Wolters Kluwer, because sometimes you want to pass it over to them, let them get on with it rather than just the users do it, because it's not a client specific issue, it might be a wider one. So I think it's just awareness is my biggest tip. Use the system that's there and make sure your staff know how to access it, or if they don't want to access it, know who to ask within your firm. Like I said, we're a smallest firm, so it's easy, but when you've got bigger firms with different offices, there's probably a different chain of command, so to speak, about who can do what. But the staff that we have, you know, any users, their frustration is they just want to do a tax return and they want to do it quickly. So some of those drop down buttons where it says can't work, got to make sure they understand that the can't work bit isn't I cannot work as in my system is down, it's I can't work on that client, which is more a level below. So yeah, that's really what it is. All the questions that were in the chat, which were more for Jeremy, or those technical things, you know, a lot of those answers will either be in the knowledge base, be in the learning, and just make sure you signpost your staff to them.
Oh, that's amazing, Stephen. Thank you so much.
That's all right.
That's, yeah, really helpful. And thanks, Jeremy. We couldn't do it without your expert knowledge.
Yeah. But one final thing from me. So we do try and put that moniker of Jantax on anything that we think is something that you might need for the mud January filing deadlines, etc. So even if you go onto the support portal and just search Jantax, you'll find sort of 40 articles where we've put that on there, and it might well be in there just from searching that. So that would be really, but as Stephen said, the more information you can give us, the better it is. Remember, it is a person at this end that's dealing with it as well. And if we get a case that just says issue with personal tax, I'm not quite sure where do we start with that? We need some information. So the more you can give us, the better it is, and the quicker we'll be able to get back to you. But bear in mind, we are a surprisingly small team, especially on the tax front. Yeah, we will get to you. Sometimes it might be a bit slower than you might like. However, when we had the phone lines, we would sometimes have people sat on hold for 4 hours waiting to get through. This, generally speaking, is quicker than sitting on the phone. So people might complain that we don't have a phone line, but just put a message in there saying, call me back, and we will.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I know that we ran over time, but really useful. Thank you. And I want to thank everyone for joining and staying with us. I hope you found the session really helpful. But obviously, if you've got any questions or anything, just pop them in the chat for this meeting and we'll monitor it for the next few hours today. So let's call the meeting at an end, and thank you.
Thanks very much, guys.
See you later.